Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Eurekadoc. If this is your first time on a Eurekadoc webinar, I'm Lafina. I'm co-founder of Eurekadoc. And firstly, I just want to apologize that I'm actually walking through an airport at the moment, doing this webinar live, leading the entrepreneur life because of some travel delays. So I do apologize about that. And I'll be muting out any background noise, so don't worry if you can't hear very clearly at the moment. So for those of you new, warm welcome to you. It's an absolute pleasure to be holding this webinar this evening with none other than the wonderful Aitsi-Selmi, who's an expert in careers coaching and transformational leadership coaching. I'm really pleased to welcome some of you back to Eurekadoc, who are familiar names on the screen. It's great to have you with us here again this evening, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy this webinar tonight. So I think I'll just check that Amina is online and that we can hear her properly. Amina, speak if you will.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Lafina. I'm glad to see
Hi.
you landed and you're back online.
Back online. Did everything that I could.
Excellent. We appreciate your efforts as you
Absolutely.
whiz around the world.
All in the call of duty. Fab. Well,
so we'll get started on the slides. So we don't want to hold the presentation up because I imagine many of you here are interested in transforming your career. And this is exactly what we're going to talk about today. Me and Lafina, who you can see here. Lafina, I don't know if you want to say something about how we met and what this photo is.
Yeah, so we were actually introduced to friends, and that was a few years ago now. And we've got very similar values. We've also both had quite diverse career paths. And actually, Amina and I did a webinar last year together for Eurekadoc, again in a similar sort of theme but different focus. And we had an absolute blast. It was so much fun, wasn't it, Amina?
It was.
Yeah, and so it's always good to revisit these topics because I think all of us at some time or another will have challenges in our careers and be kind of feeling uncertain or wanting to take our careers in a different direction. And currently there isn't really much guidance out there available to doctors who want to do something different or who just want to diversify or who want to actually transition into something else. So we hope this is going to be of really, really big value to you this evening. And it's going to be as interactive as possible. There's a Q&A box. So if you're new to Zoom, just have a little look at your screen. You can ask questions. You can raise virtual hands. And if we ask you a question, please can you type your answer in the comments box, in the chat box, not in the Q&A. Reserve the Q&A box just for your questions and we'll do our best to answer them.
Right. And shall we do a little tech check? I don't know if anybody wants to say something so we know you can hear us, or if people want to say something in the chat box so we know you can hear us, say hello.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, let us know where you're calling in from this evening. Yeah. Oh, hello. Hi, Kieran. Nice to see you. Just type into the chat box where you are calling in from this evening. Oxfordshire, Sally from Oxfordshire, hello. And oh my goodness, Benita from Mexico City.
Wow.
Cecilia from NYC, Azza from Stockport, Emma from Lincolnshire, hello, Hibba from Derby, Shrewsbury, Wirral, Austria and South Wales, Surrey,
Austria.
London. A truly global community this evening.
A truly global community. Welcome, everybody. It's
wow.
So great. Realizing
so cool.
Time zone differences, we really appreciate that you're here.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So, great. So, coming back to the topic, career transformation happening all over the world, as you can see. And just very briefly, we're going to talk about three pieces. One is Ikigai, one is the 4 R's, and one is 3 steps for practical action around career transformation. And we'll tell you a little bit more about our work and other things you can do to connect with us if at the end. a quick introduction about from me and what we do.
Yep.
What,
sorry, you'll have to prompt me. I mean, because I can't see the
you're still
slides.
alive. You're still alive.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm live and kicking. I just can't see the slides on my phone. So just let me know when it's my turn.
All right, will do. Yeah, I was just wondering if the career transformation police had arrested you, but
oh no.
Good. So who am I and why do I do this? What am I doing here? So I just want to focus on 2015, which was kind of my big year. That's when I created my dream job twice after CCTing in public health. And those of you who are close to CCT or around that period will know that that's a sort of big career decision point, at least for doctors in the UK. If you're not from the UK, that is a big sort of jump off point from being a junior doctor to being a fully fledged independent doctor in the health system. So that's when I had to choose whether to do the safe thing or the thing that I really wanted. And I chose the thing I really wanted. Since I was maybe 19, I really wanted to work on global health issues and contribute sort of to the global conversation on health. And you can see here from the photo, in 2007, I was a junior doctor and I sort of went as a tourist to the United Nations headquarters. And then 2015, 8 years later, I ended up there as a delegate. So I was working there and my dream had come true. I did also, other things started to happen. I was working at Chatham House as a consultant fellow. I was an academic doing research in global health. And other exciting things. But that wasn't the end of the story. So that was my 19-year-old dream come true. And after that happened, I started to feel like there was something else and there was something more. And it was a bit disturbing and unnerving because I thought that was it, I'd reached my dream, but no, something was moving, something was saying there's more. And that's how I ended up taking another leap into something even less safe, which is working for myself and being my own boss. So I founded my own company and I started doing work, a little bit of consulting, but my real passion was with coaching. That's where I brought all of my skills together into a new job called coaching and set up shop at Harley Street, but also online, making the most of the internet. And my focus is on helping others to reinvent their careers, transform their careers and their lives and fulfill their potential. So that's me. Lafina, over to you. I'm just bringing up the bullet points.
Thanks, Amina. Can everyone, just before I check, can everyone see the slides at the moment? We had a message from someone just saying that they weren't able to see the slides. And it might depend on Fab. So as you can see, Amina's done quite a few different things. And actually, I guess from the outside, for many, it appears like a dream career, right? Like, God, that just kind of happened overnight. But like most things in life, these things are an overnight success, are they, Amina?
No, there's no such thing. Sorry, I've got some echo going. There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a myth. I work with a coach who wrote a blog called An Overnight Success in 46 Years.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It took me 18 years to realize my teenage dream.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So hopefully that provides quite a bit of hope to other people who might be thinking, God, when am I going to actually find something that I really enjoy doing or things around? It doesn't have to take 18 years is the good news.
No, it doesn't have to take 18 years. You can find your path once you decide. You can just commit to something.
Absolutely. And hopefully you'll get some good nuggets off this webinar tonight.
Yeah,
to help you get there.
Yeah, and it's interactive, so do put your questions in, and we'll try and leave some time at the end for people to come online and ask themselves live. Right, so hopefully the slide makes sense of itself, and we'll get to Lafina now.
Okay, fab. Thanks, Amina. So similar to Amina, I had quite a diverse career myself. And what I'm currently doing is I'm a GP trainee. I'm in my ST2 year on my final hospital rotation. Yes. And I'm actually really loving it at the moment. I'm also an NHS clinical entrepreneur. So if anyone's interested in entrepreneurship and how to combine that with medical training, either part-time or full-time, feel free to drop me a message after the webinar. I'm more than happy to share my experience and a bit of info about the program. I'm the co-founder of you already know, and aware of me within Eurekadoc because I do a lot of training for doctors who are interested in property investment. I'm obviously an advocate for portfolio careers in medicine, having had quite a diverse career myself and seen the satisfaction that it brings other people. I ran the first property crowdfunding project for doctors last year, and we had 28 investors in our project. We raised our funds in just 7 minutes. So if that's something of interest to you, then you can definitely get involved in that. And I do a few other things in the property world, including a podcast, which is my latest project. And that podcast is going to be a very special one, looking at the relationship between health and housing. So if you have any questions about that, please feel free to connect after the webinar. Thanks, Serena.
Excellent. All right, so over to you, everybody. Who are you? Do you want to tell us briefly in the comment box or the chat box, where are you at in your career path? First of all, are you a doctor? Maybe you're not a doctor. And where in your training are you roughly? And what question are you hoping to get an answer to today? At least in part, if not the full answer. If you could let us know in the comments, that would be great. And it'll give us an idea of what to focus on as we keep going along.
Absolutely. Just repeat those questions again, Amina. There were 2 or 3 there.
So whichever bit of information you want to give us is fine. So whether you're a doctor or not, what stage of training are you at? And if there's a question you're hoping to get answered today, let us know what that is. I can't see the comments, Lafina, so I'm relying on you.
Yeah. If you look at the top of the screen, and there's going to be a Q&A box, you just click on it, or the chat box, and you click on that. If it's not immediately obvious, you can click on more.
I see. Great.
And that will come up there. So I'm going to do the same.
All right. I'm seeing everybody's messages. Sorry, I missed those. I'm not as tech savvy as...
Ooh, amazing. So Kieran's left general surgery training in August, is an ST3 and locuming at the moment. Awesome, Kieran. Thank you. Hiba is a qualified GP, but looking for a way to vary works that's less monotonous. Yeah, can definitely identify with that. Thanks for sharing that. And Sally's a GP who decided to leave medicine, doing a coaching diploma and an LLP certificate. Wow, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
Who else we got?
Emma is a salary GP since 2006, trainer, looking for portfolio options, lifestyle medicine coaching. Yes, coaching is the best job in the world. I am, Kieran's taking some time to decide on your career path. Great, take your time. GP academic, hello Fiona. Interested in setting up a side business. Yes, side business.
Brilliant. A side hustle.
Yes, you're in the right place. Lafina can tell you all about portfolio careers, and we can both tell you about business in general. Supriya, and anesthetics training, had to take a career break due to medical reasons, looking for other careers with qualifications. Yes, as a medic, you have so many skills. You have so many skills. It's unbelievable. It's just we're not sort of taught or encouraged to enumerate them because it's taken for granted and it's assumed you're going to stay in medicine once you start medicine. But yeah, lots of transferable skills and more. Cecilia, assistant at an office. Hello, Cecilia. Looking for a career change, but have not been able to find a path. Frozen in place, terrified. Well, we're going to help you break out of that. If we do nothing else tonight, you're in the right place. Paula, GP locum, looking to do business, likely property investing. Well.
Cool.
Wow, we've got lots of responses here. Might not be able to read all of them.
That's fine.
Locum, so many of you are GPs, many of you are trying to diversify. Some of you are interested in business. It's a great way to freedom because you create your own vehicle for doing work you love and being paid for it. Yeah, Benito from Mexico, 58, with extensive management experience, just recently ended your job with employer and looking for a second career in the second half of life. Yes, and it's completely normal to have a second or a third career in this day and age. So without further ado, let's try and give you some ideas, some inspiration, some tips, so you can move forward. Closing these panels. Thank you for sharing that information with us. So we've all faced career fears. Yes.
Yes, we have, definitely.
We have. Everybody has. Even the people you admire and who you think have got it all sorted, ask them and you will see that they've faced them too. But, and this is a kind of nice coaching aphorism, what you want is closer than you think. In fact, the closer you get to your goal, the greater your fear. So if you're in fear right now, it's not bad news. You could be much, well, it's likely that you're much closer than you think to what you want. Lafina, do you want to tell us about your fears along your career path?
Yeah, definitely. So, God, I had lots of highs and lows, but I got there in the end. And I guess this diagram is just to show you that it's, you know, it's never straightforward. I do finally feel very happy and satisfied because I feel I've got the right balance, and more importantly, probably just got control over my career and what I'm doing with it. But it took me ages to get there and to just know myself and identify where my strengths are and what bits of medicine I really actually enjoyed. So as you might see here, I popped in and out of medicine quite a few times. I had many career breaks. So I did the foundation program, didn't enjoy that as much as I'd hoped. So then went into research for a couple of years and did a master's in London and then another one in Paris.
Wow.
Realized research wasn't really for me, and I didn't want to do a PhD at that time. So then I came back to actually what I knew and the only thing I'd really enjoyed in the foundation program, which was pediatrics, and started training in peds. Now, during that time, my personal life was taking me in a different direction, and I embarked on an adventure and I moved to Madrid for three years. And I actually took an UP at that time, which the School of Pediatrics kindly allowed me, because the intention was to continue my peds training. After 3 years, I had actually given up my training number, came back to the UK, and then started continuing my training in peds, but this time as a clinical fellow. So I was training outside the system and just gaining the exact same competencies with the aim of CCTing in parallel to the training program, which you can do, by the way, just in case anyone has ever wondered about that. However, having been back for another year and a half, I thought, actually, the hospital life isn't really for me. And during my time in Madrid, I started Eurekadoc publishing, which then became Eurekadoc. I started doing some careers coaching. I started property business, and I just realized I had much very different interests. And actually the bigger picture was that I really enjoyed business and I wanted more control and more flexibility and autonomy over my professional and personal life. So what now? I thought, okay, I don't really want to leave medicine either. Maybe I should consider GP, which I'd always felt was not a good option for various reasons, and hadn't given it a chance, which was a real shame because I love it. I applied for a GP. I got into my GP training, and because of my love for business and entrepreneurship, and because thankfully medical careers are now moving in a really different direction, I applied to join the NHS Clinical Entrepreneur Program, and that sort of more or less got me to up to where I am today. So now I consider myself to have a portfolio career, even though I'm only training at the moment. My time's split between my GP training, between the commitments of training, e-portfolio, and doing your exams and all of that. But I also run a property business. I run Eurekadoc, which I'm really passionate about. I'm part of the NHS Clinical Entrepreneur Program, which is an amazing program, and I've been so fortunate to have met so many fantastic people in that network, and also lots and lots of people through my property network. And actually the skills that I've developed outside medicine, I've ended up using within medicine, and I think that's what I love the most about it, because I never would have done that if I hadn't had a few years out. So although it's taken me a long time, quite a while to get there, it's taken me actually 11 years up until this point. Whilst many of my friends are already consultants, or they've been GPs for years, I've had a very fun time, and I've enjoyed my career, and I've tried to pursue passions and scratch the surface and just trying to work things out as I go along, because none of us are born with all the answers. When you agree, Amina?
Yes, absolutely. It's all a journey, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely a journey. So
Yeah.
I won't bore you anymore with that.
That was fascinating. I didn't know some of those things. I didn't know you studied in Paris. Really incredible journey. Right. How do I? Are you done with the slide, Lafina?
Yeah, done. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I've gone with the picture option, and I'm not really a portfolio person. I'm a one thing at a time person, and this is one of the reasons I wanted to do the webinar with Lafina. It's because we've kind of reached the same point, and I'm really excited about where we are and gone through a transition, but we've taken different approaches. And there's a sort of big leap approach from one thing to the next, or the more interesting and rich and textured kind of exploring several things at a time. I don't think I can do that. I don't have the brain for it. and then weaving it all together into something beautiful. Having said that, public health, which is the specialty that I CCT'd in, did allow me to explore lots of different things. Public health is well known for giving lots of opportunities. There's much more freedom than clinical specialties, because you can work in different institutions, different organizations, you can do a lot of research, you can do policy, and so on and so forth. Anyway, so just want to tell you about some of my fears, having gone from being a student to house officer. I was on the old system, so house officer, senior house officer, and then specialist registrar, doing an ACF in public health, and then becoming a consultant in public health. So my fears. So when I was at medical school, I was at Cambridge University. I discovered in the second year that I was fascinated with big picture stuff. So I was in a demography lecture, and I was fascinated by the fact that you could tell a lot about a whole country from a single number, like infant mortality rate. And I fell in love with public health, and then sociology and psychology, and all these things that are to do with behavior science and social psychology. But as you can imagine, most people didn't want to do public health. They wanted to do surgery, they wanted to do glamorous things, they wanted to do very sciencey things, genetics and so on. And public health was like the poor relative of medicine. So that was my first fear, kind of going off the beaten track. Do I follow my passion, or do I stick with the with the more conventional stuff that seems to be the cool stuff? So I ended up going with my passion, thanks to a supervisor who basically coached me back then, even though I didn't know what that was. And did social anthropology in my third year, and ended up going to Cuba for my elective, and managed to get a public health elective in Cuba funded. So that was the reward for facing my fear and jumping. Next hurdle was getting onto an SHO scheme. So I was told, okay, fine, go do public health, but try and get MRCP first, so you get some respect from the clinicians. Plus you get more experience and you understand the health system, rather than just come across as some policy office-based person who doesn't know the real world. So I thought, fine, and I like medicine anyway. It's not that I didn't like medicine, it's just that I loved public health and what it entailed. So I was given the advice of not to tell in my interviews that I wanted to do public health, and say that I wanted to do medicine, that I wanted to do cardiology or something hospital-based. And I remember going to interview and sort of trying to say, yeah, I really want to do medicine, but I'm such a bad liar. So I got rejected from tons of interviews. And then eventually I got coached again by one of my SPRs and a consultant at the time. They were surgeons, credit to surgeons, had some real nice soft skills there.
Amazing.
They said surgeons don't have soft skills. So, and they said, just tell people when you speak about public health, you really light up and you're very passionate, and the right people will appreciate that. So I did that. I kind of almost got half an SHO rotation, and then I got my dream. I got invited for interview to my dream rotation, which was a year in Switzerland and a year in London. And that's the one I got. And I told them I want to do public health. I told them why. I remember I just left that interview feeling like, yeah. But that was after, I think, 10 interviews. My 11th, my 9 interviews. The 10th, I kind of said it. The 11th, I said it. and then I got it. And all my friends were getting the first interview. They're getting multiple offers, and they were trying to choose, like, oh, I don't know whether to go to Oxford or to Cambridge. I was like, I can't get an SHO rotation. Anyway, so that was that, facing that fear. Next one was, and you may have heard this one, which is don't leave the training scheme. Don't go abroad. That was a big thing when I was doing my junior doc training. It was, if you do that, you'll ruin your career. You won't be able to come back. Again, coached by a consultant who said, you've got to do what you want. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity to go and work abroad. I'd arranged something with Médecins Sans Frontières to go to South Sudan. But all these fears around, should I do that or should I do the conventional thing? And I ended up going to South Sudan. Now, I did make sure I had something to come back to, so I will say that. But, you know, I had to figure it out. I had to negotiate. And that's me there, the photo in Abyei, in what is now, I think it's still a special zone because it has oil, so it's a highly contested area. So when I came back from that, I did my public health training, and that was pretty straight, like 8 years of uninterrupted training. Now, it was an ACF, so I did a master's in public health at the London School of Hygiene, and I did a PhD at UCL in epidemiology and public health on obesity in low and middle income countries. And I worked at local level, national level, and international level, which was my dream. But towards the end, I was being told, oh, that's dangerous. You know, there are no jobs in global health. You know, you've got to go and work in a local authority because that's where public health consultants work now. And I tried it and it didn't feel right at all. So I was in a dilemma. Do I go for the safe thing that pays the bills, or do I follow my passion? And the photo there is me in Alaska, standing on a mountain, suddenly being hit by the fact that I had to follow my passion again. And that's how I ended up doing international work and being a consultant in international public health at PHE. And then eventually I took the second leap. But I leave it at that. So, Lafina, do you want to chip in with anything at this point? I realize I've spoken.
No, I just love hearing your career story. Who, just out of interest to those of you online, who can identify with some of the pain points that Amina was discussing there? Just raise a virtual hand if you've kind of felt the same. You've been considering changes in your career, and you know you just keep getting these blockers popping up and putting you off. Particularly what other people think. I think all of us care far too much about what other people think we should be doing. And I think the older you get, or the bolder you get, you realize none of that matters at all. The only person you should care about is whose opinions you should care about are probably your own. Yeah. There's a palliative care nurse, Bronnie Ware, documented one of the top 5 regrets of dying people is not having been true to themselves. Mm-hmm. You heard it. You heard it here first, guys.
Yeah. I can't see any chat, so shall we move on to the slide? So what is career transformation? I think, you know, most people think, well, you know, I'm where I am now and I want to be over there. So I need to transform my career to get there. It's like a to B type of process. But that's really oversimplifying it. There's a whole intellectual and emotional journey behind the change. And I think people get into trouble because they don't realize that. So this graph is based on research done by psychologists called the emotional cycle of change. And this is applied to career transformation. So as you can see, there's sort of your mood on the y-axis and time on the x-axis. And you might start off with an inspired idea that, yay, now I'm going to go off and do global health or whatever it is. And then you might follow that. You might start to take action. Then you realize, oh, it's a bit more complicated than I thought. You know, it's not going to happen overnight. There's some work involved. Maybe I need some training. Maybe I need to go and do some placement. Maybe I need to speak to people that I've never spoken to before, whatever. So then you start to get a little bit afraid. doubt might creep in. You might start to hesitate. And the bad news is it doesn't get better at that point. At that point, you can either go back, or you can keep going into a place where it's going to feel like you really don't know what you're doing or where you're going. And a lot of people come to me as a coach at that point. They're completely lost. They're too far maybe to go back, but they don't know at all what the next step is or where to go. It's sort of brain fog, career confusion, have no idea what I'm doing. I really don't want to stay where I am, but I don't know where the hell to step next. And that's called the valley of despair. And it can be really, really uncomfortable. But it's only a part of the process. As there's a saying that goes, in order to know, you have to not know first. If you're too attached to having answers all the time, you'll never have that genius insight that puts you back on track, because you're too attached to having answers all the time. So you have to go through that valley of despair, because then you can get to the other side when new stuff starts to happen, where things do start to click into place. There is hope at the end of the tunnel. And you finally, if you keep moving in that direction, you'll find your way on the other side. And I've been through that process several times, as you've just...
Oh God, yeah.
Lafina, you've done the same. And you probably have as well, whether you realize it or not. You are going through this process all the time. It's just part of learning and growing as a human being. So what about you? Can you tell us where you think you are on your career change journey?
Yes, just type into the chat box where you think you are right now, out of if you can identify with any of these 4 stages in the career change cycle.
Are you in number 1, uninformed optimism? Yay, I'm going for my dreams. Are you number 2, informed pessimism? Oh, this is a bit harder than I thought. Are you 3, in uninformed pessimism, valley of despair? What the hell is going on? Have no idea. So I don't mean to laugh at it, but there is hope. I'm laughing at myself mostly. And or number 4, informed optimism. Wow, this is kind of working out in ways that I hadn't expected. So let's see some answers coming through. We have 3, 2, 1, 1 again. 3. Okay, so a variety. I just want to say, for all you people in 3, this is the place where you really get to test yourself. So, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So quite a few in 3. This is good. This is good. You're in the right place, guys.
Yeah. Hibba's going from 3 to 4. Excellent. Joe's sneaking into 4.
Yeah. Just remember, without the lows, you can't really enjoy the highs.
Yeah.
It provides contrast, if nothing else.
What have I done? I've done something to the screen. Can you see?
Are you sharing your... I don't think you're sharing.
Am I not sharing it?
Reshare. Yeah, reshare.
Okay. So I hope this kind of helps you feel better, especially if you're in 3, knowing that this is normal. If you're feeling in 3, you're feeling really lost, it's completely normal. Christopher Columbus, there's a story that he didn't tell his crew how far they were from Europe, because if they knew that they'd reached the point of no return, he was afraid there'd be a mutiny. So he kept messing with the figures so that they thought they were closer, and therefore they could go back. It is really scary being in the unknown, but he did eventually reach land. All right, so sharing again. I'm getting really passionate now.
Yay!
All right.
Cool.
Okay, I've got a stop share sign, so I'm assuming I'm sharing. All right. So why do people, I guess we'll have to speed up a bit.
Yeah. So we've probably covered like a little bit of this in terms of, what the most common reasons for career transformation are. And these are what we felt that with some of the most common ones, which are, hating your job or your boss, feeling tired or being burnt out, which we know is incredibly common in the medical community, isn't it? Not feeling very appreciated, not feeling that you're actually fulfilling your full potential, which again is quite common because in a lot of healthcare jobs, some of the work is quite monotonous, and most people complain that we spend too much time on admin and bureaucratic tasks rather than actually seeing patients, which is why most of us went into healthcare in the first place. It's all the other stuff that really stress us out, isn't it? It's usually not dealing with the people. I guess feeling left behind for any reason, if you compare to perhaps your peers that are not in medical careers or that are just really enjoying their careers, feeling that actually something's missing and why isn't my career as I want it to be. Choosing the safe path, that's often why some people want career transformation. They're looking for something different, they're looking for something maybe more exciting, more adventurous, and doing something that actually they really want to do or you really want to do rather than what other people want you to do. and often it's just a change, because quite often, I don't know if you've heard the saying, a change is as good as a rest. Actually, change keeps you feeling stimulated and connected and inspired and engaged. And it's always good to shake things up a little bit, even if it's a very small change in your daily work. It can really make a world of difference.
Yeah. Are you done with the slide, Lafina? Let me know.
Yeah. Let's move on.
Great.
So I hope that makes a bit of sense, guys. If it doesn't, just raise a hand.
Yeah, I think so. And it kind of points out to the fact that you can be pushed by pain forward, or you can be pulled by something positive. Most people are pushed by pain. Like, they start to really feel uncomfortable and then they do something. But it's good if you have a vision as well. And we're going to talk about that shortly. So, and ultimately, regardless of what you think the reason is, the research shows that career crises are normal in this day and age, and for people in their mid-30s, 40s, and there's a U-shaped curve of dissatisfaction. So it starts in the mid-30s, it hits the lowest point, the valley of despair, maybe in the mid-50s. And then after that, career satisfaction starts to rise again. It might be because you think, well, there's not long left, so I might as well just make the most of it, or you just start to stress less about things and what people think. It's not clear exactly why. So you can do nothing if you're feeling dissatisfied right now, and things will get better in your mid-50s. Or, you can do something about it now. Or if in your mid-50s, then good for you. Then you've got a new lease of life. So it's normal to feel this dissatisfaction, but you don't have to just wait on it. Medics find it hard to change because of medic guilt, or what I call medic guilt. So there's a lot of long training, it's a good job, families sacrificed a lot for many people for them to be able to do that, to do medicine, whether it's personal or financial, to get through the training, especially in the US. And then there's a lot of reward with doing medicine. It's high status, it pays well, reasonably well, and it brings a lot of meaning. But a job for life is over, and with tech disruption and globalization, a lot of things are going to be automated, including a lot of clinical tasks. So it's a good time to think ahead. And if you want to read more about this, I wrote a blog from Medic Footprints, and the link's down there. You just go to tiny URL and put .com and put those numbers in. And I think we can share the slides afterwards anyway. All right, so problems with career change, the things you might tell yourself. You're not alone if you're thinking these things. Lafina, do you want to go through them, or shall we move on?
Yeah, definitely. I'll just skip through them. So I guess some of the most common barriers, and I've been through these several times, driving myself round and round in circles, was, what to do, what else to do, how you actually do it once you've identified what it is you want to do. What if things go wrong? What if I don't like it? What if it's a big waste of time, etc. Having imposter syndrome and actually not believing that you can really do it. And also lots of emotions come up, like fear or guilt or pressure or uncertainty and being overwhelmed. And also, this stuff isn't easy. So actually putting yourself through some discomfort really sometimes tends to put people off So these are some of the most common issues, and also people don't want to be more unhappy, right? So you're really frightened about making a bad change. And I guess it would be nice to see if anyone has also experienced this. So if you could just type into the chat box if you've had some of these problems, that would be amazing. And let's see what the feeling is amongst you tonight.
You can see the chat box, right, Lafina? Lafina? Hello, hello? Lafina, I hope you can still hear us. Yeah, a lot of people. I think it seems like a lot of people resonate with this. Yeah. Kieran's had all of these problems. Okay. Well, no more. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I actually told jokes sometimes, and half joke that I was going on maternity leave when I was going through my career change into sort of leaving public health. I don't have children. All right. So how do you get out of this? So now we're getting into what do you do about this? We know the problem, we know it happens, we know it's kind of normal to go through these career crises, and there is a way out. You don't have to just wait for it to spontaneously resolve. Although even if you do, that's fine too. But if you want to do something about it, it really is about self-leadership. And what do I mean by self-leadership? It's the sense that you're in control. You are the boss of you. Not an organization, not the faculty of whatever, not the Royal College. Nobody's the boss of you. You are the boss of you. So it's about finding that sense of security from within, or in psychology, you might call it an internal locus of control. And that is liberating. And it's like a shift in mindset. You're shifting from sort of an employee mindset into a more entrepreneurial mindset. That is kind of the key to this transformation. Because once you find that security within, then things seem less scary. It's less scary not to get the validation. It's less scary to take a risk. And we're going to talk about 3 things. I think we might have to go a little bit over 7. I hope that's all right with people, maybe until 7:10, so we can get through the material without rushing too much. So number 1, connecting with a deep sense of purpose that inspires you. So that's the Ikigai principle, which we'll talk about in a minute. Then there's understanding how you hold yourself back, because even once you've identified a way forward, you've got your own inner blocks, your own way of holding yourself back. And then when people say things that are discouraging, what you hear is amplified because you already have your own doubts. So it's important to understand how you hold yourself back. And that means that external factors will have less of an influence on you. And then you need a simple system for taking action. People can make things very complicated, especially when you're in doubt, you're afraid. It's easy to sort of pick up a lot of information and speak to everyone. And I was doing this. I remember asking lots of people for trying to find an answer from people, and nobody could give me the answer. And it's shortly after that I realized, I have to find the answer inside me. And then other people might be able to help me, but nobody can really tell me what to do with their life. Lafina, you're back.
Hello. Yes, I had a slight signal issue. Apologies. I am back.
Okay, great. So we're moving into, I thought we might have to go maybe until 7:10. Is that all right for you?
Yeah, absolutely. Is that okay for everyone else? 8:10, you mean, right?
Sorry, 8:10, yes.
Yeah.
Or what do you think? Do you think we should just whiz through and finish at 7?
No, I think we're doing well. We can hang around. We'll always answer some questions after the webinar anyway, but we're aware you need to get away. You might need to get away by 8. So we'll plan to try and finish on time. And then we'll be here to answer your questions if you have any.
Yeah. It shows it's fine to carry on, no rush. Okay, so goal number 1. Oops, we'd said we'd talk about Ikigai, which is a Japanese word for a reason for being. Or the way I put it is the thing that makes your heart sing. So okay, fine, you're feeling lost, you're not sure what to do. But if you stop and say, okay, the answers are within me, and you slow down and you take some time and you cut out a lot of the noise, you can start to dig within you, excavate within you. It's like, what is it that makes my heart sing? And it might not come immediately. The answer might not come immediately. It might come while you're on a walk. It might come while you're on holiday. It might come while you're in the shower. This is how these inspired ideas come. They don't tend to come when you're really focusing on them logically or talking about them a lot. And Ikigai, and there's a book, the reason I put this diagram in is because there's a book that's out about, that's published about it that you can refer to if you're interested in this idea. And Lafina and I have talked about it, and we recognize here the principles. So there are four sub-questions under that question, what makes my heart sing, is what do you love to do? And you might want to take some time just to think about it while you're on the webinar, if you've got a notepad in front of you. What do you love to do? Because I realized I love social psychology. I love personal development. That's all I did in my spare time. I just love it.
Amazing.
So that's what I love to do. And then it turns out, it turns out that after I went through the whole process, it turns out that job's called coaching, or there's a job called coaching that captures it. But anyway, so what do you love to do? What are you good at? And a lot of doctors tell me, oh, but I don't know, I'm not good at anything. I don't, nobody. Of course you're good at stuff. Just take some time, sit down, start with the assumption you are good at tons of stuff and write it down. What are you good at? What are you already strong at? Well, people, ask other people. What do they think you're good at? Definitely a feel-good factor. Then there's a more practical thing. So what does the world need? What does the world need? What is there out there? What kind of functions or activities are out there that well, that's not a very good way to put it. I'll just leave it at what does the world need? What are things that the world needs? So for me, it's like, okay, people need help with their career transformations. There are lots of people who are not happy. It's not just me on my own. I'm not making it up. I'm not crazy. It's actually a thing. There's research about it. And then what can you be paid for? What can you be paid for? And this is a big one, because we either focus too much on the money and we're like, well, I just want to be safe and get my bills paid and not have to worry about money. But then according to Ikigai, if you only pay attention to that and don't pay attention to what you love, for example, then you're going to end up with a sense of feeling comfortable, but feeling empty. So you've got the safety and the security, but you're bored, you're uninspired, you feel like you're boxed in. Life has lost its joyfulness. If you don't focus on it at all, again, medics don't like talking about money because it's taken care of elsewhere. But employees in general don't like talking. Professionals or specialists, people of the brain, don't like talking about money too much. But then if you don't pay attention to that, you end up with a charity. You don't end up with a job. So you have to pay attention to the money piece. Not too much, but you have to pay attention to it. Lafina, do you want to chip in on anything?
Yeah, I think well, just from the sort of property background experience, a lot of reasons, some of the reasons that people come into property or gravitate towards it is because they do want to make a bit of extra money, because they don't feel that they are getting enough for their needs or their aspirations in a day job. And actually, you're right, people hate talking about it because they think it makes them less of a moral doctor who doesn't have financial interests, which is ridiculous. We all have financial interests.
Yeah.
Money is just a tool, just like anything else in life. And there's no shame in wanting more money. There's no shame in wanting a better job or better relationships or more enriching and exciting life experience. These are all just experiences and tools that we use in our lives. So I would echo your sentiments.
Yeah. And does the NHS, because I know you're an NHS clinical entrepreneur and you're one of the leads within that community. So is there any wisdom from what you've learned there?
Yeah, it's that you don't need money to get started in a lot of things. So, I actually presented at Bloomberg last year, the end of year clinical entrepreneur programs celebratory event. And between, I think over the 2 years, we raised over £150 million So knowing what healthcare salaries are like, that wasn't coming from doctors' own pockets, but between the 200 people on the program, that's what they managed to raise. So, you can do a lot when you put your mind to it.
Yeah. And the when you hear people say there's no money, it's not true, isn't it? There is money.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely. You just need to know how to leverage it. That's all.
Yeah. Great. Shall we move on to goal number 2 before we check in with people?
Yeah, let's.
All right. So goal number 2, we said we'd help you get out of fear and procrastination and resolve those emotional blocks to change when they come up. So the blocks that come up as you go on your transformational journey. So a lot of you said, or some of you said that you were in number 3 in the valley of despair. So it is normal to feel that way. So not trying to get rid of it or resisting it, because what you resist persists, is really important. And there's a tool here that I use with a lot of my clients, and that seems to help them a lot, called the 4 R's. It's a mindfulness tool. And it helps you really get familiar with those fears as they come up, so that they don't take control of you. You are in control of your fears because you're friends with your fear. And you recognize all the different ways it comes up, all the different messages it tells you, like, oh, but you need more qualifications, or there isn't any money, or it's too hard, it's too late, I'm too old, I'm too young, those are just fear messages. And emotions in general are just a message. They're not really reality. They're trying to tell you something, but not always in the best way. So there are different ways of dealing with it, but this is one very useful tool that can help you address those blocks and release them. So one, recognizing when it happens, recognizing when you are in fear, recognizing, oh, I'm in the valley of despair. Okay. Hopefully that's helped you. You thought, okay, I'm not, it's not abnormal. It's kind of part of the journey. Great. And then there might be your own way of then trying to get rid of the fear that isn't the best way. So some people like to do a lot of research, and they get lost in the research and they haven't taken any action. For me, I wanted to ask lots of people. I was like, I'm going to ask so-and-so, I'm going to ask so-and-so, maybe they know. And it didn't help me in the end, because that wasn't the right thing to do at that time. I was in fear, but instead of calming my fear, I was just sort of reactive to it. Someone else is going to help me. So that was my way. Over asking was my way. So what I needed to do is to stop doing that. And when I did stop doing that, that's when I heard my own inner voice. Relaxing. So when you're feeling that fear, you use breathing. If the world just breathed better, it would be so much happier and more peaceful. It's very simple. Again, it's a timeless wisdom that we've known for thousands of years, that breathing helps us regulate our nervous system, helps us think more clearly, helps us have more empathy for ourselves and others, helps us to unlock our natural intelligence and wisdom and not react from habits. And then it's resolving to keep doing this practice, because it isn't a one-off. So today we're giving you the tool. If you just use this tool and get very familiar with it, you will really release a lot of stuff that's holding you back, and the journey will be much smoother. It won't take away all the highs and lows, but it will be smoother. Meditation is a great tool, or walking. But if you use this tool, you will notice a difference on the journey. But it has to be repeated. You have to commit to it, because it's a journey. Do you use any mindfulness tools, Lafina, or am I just the wacky?
No, not at all. I definitely do. So, I mean, I'm a big fan of Headspace because it's so accessible and easy, and I like the animations, and it's just, I don't know, it's totally everything I thought it wasn't going to be. But I also do my own yoga practice. I actually do it from home using YouTube videos. Just find some instructor that you like, and it's just that connecting the breath with the body, and it just really grounds you and centers you.
Yeah.
And you're right, it just helps you to take a break, relax, reflect, and let the stresses of the day or whatever it is just sort of ooze and ebb away.
Yeah. I had a client, my first client, coaching client, she used it because she was in Birmingham City Hospital.
All right.
Very busy, very reactive, and she wanted something that was a bit more intellectually stimulating. She had more autonomy, more control. And she started to notice her patterns, right? She started to recognize, oh, I'm saying yes to everything, and I don't have enough energy and time for me to go and first to relax and then to be open to other opportunities. She noticed how she was always putting other people's needs first. And when she recognized those two patterns, that she was saying yes too much and putting other people's needs first too much, everything changed. Within a few months, she'd been invited to her dream job in a teaching hospital, very prestigious teaching hospital, given her own service to transform as she wished.
Wow.
And her personal life changed. She met someone special who was really great, and basically because she had a different attitude. She wasn't operating from her old patterns. So a very powerful tool, the 4 hours.
Amazing.
All right, so goal number 3, discover the simple process that lays down tracks for your new career and life direction without taking up excessive time and energy. Yes, because your time and energy can be really optimized if you're self-aware and you're self-leading. And this is a simple system. You need to get out of your comfort zone. Especially if you've been very cozy for a long time. You've got the paycheck coming in, you've been told what to do, which boxes to tick. And it's cozy, but it's not right for you. So the answer to that is to get out of your comfort zone. Obviously, if you're completely outside your comfort zone right now and you're in a war zone doing emergency aid work, and that might not be the right thing. But this applies to most of us who live in who work in sort of conventional careers and live in a nice, comfy Western society. What stops us from getting out of our comfort zone is fear. Imposter syndrome is a cluster of fearful beliefs put together that can also stop you. And the question you can ask yourself daily to get out of your comfort zone is, where can my skills and talents be used best? So rather than asking a disempowering question like, oh, what should I do? How am I going to do it? Very disempowering, very stressful questions. Just ask, well, today, where can my skills and talents be used best? Do you have a favorite question, Lafina, that sort of, or something, a little spell, a little bit of?
Maybe not a favorite question, but I think going back to your 4 R's, something that moved me along in my career journey was just being more self-aware of the moments in which I just felt really joyful in whatever activities it might be. Some people call this being in flow. And then trying to do more of those activities, or doing more of what you really want to do, rather than putting it, kind of measuring it against whether this is credible or useful CV wise, or whether academically this is going to be considered good or not. Because when you start doing stuff that you just naturally want to do, it makes total sense that you enjoy it more, you're better at it, and then that in itself attracts more opportunities, more positive relationships and experiences, and it's almost like an avalanche, kind of snowball effect after that. So I think it starts with self-awareness, engaging in and recognizing what it is that you enjoy, or what tiny aspects of things you enjoy, and also, like you said, just stepping out of your comfort zone and trying new things, because you never know what you're going to enjoy when you've been in a job for so long.
Yeah, thanks for that. So, and I think you're a great connector, Lafina. You're really a wonderful, joyful person, and I think people love being around you, and that's a real asset, I think.
Thank you.
And one thing that people feel uncomfortable about, that I've noticed, is connecting with people that they don't know. But if you read any career transformation book, it'll tell you need to get out there, you need to connect with people who can help you, or people who work in industries you're interested in, and so on and so forth. So in your stepping out of your comfort zone system, include connection. And you've got amazing communication skills. For those of you who are doctors, for those of you who aren't, I'm sure you can communicate pretty well. If not, there are tons of courses on communication skills. Because change happens in relationships and in conversations. We're all connected, we're all related, and we can create amazing things together. But we're afraid of connecting with strangers. It's just a natural instinct, and we have to overcome that. That is part of getting out of our comfort zone. So
definitely. And not only do you have amazing skills, but you have amazing we've got amazing tools to do that these days, right? So like, you know, whether it's LinkedIn or whether it's Facebook or whatever, I've been contacted so many times by people who are looking for a job in whatever. They see on my LinkedIn that I've done something that's relevant to them, and they message me and they say, hey, do you mind if we have could we have a chat, or could we have a, you know, could you give me some advice? And I will say, yeah, sure. And then, you know, the other person, quite often they're so shocked that, you know, someone says yes. But I've also done the same, asked advice from people, and could I just give you a call 10 minutes, 15 minutes and just pick your brains about something? People I have never met, and I have never had a no, never had a no answer.
Wow.
So if you're sitting there and you think, oh, I could never possibly approach someone, you know, that's doing what I want to do, or, you know, that I don't know, and who am I to ask them? Absolutely 100% do it.
Yeah. Yes. What you want is closer than you think. It could just be a click away.
So true.
A click and 4 hours away. Or 4 hours and a click away.
Yeah.
You can do this. You can do this. If you can overcome your fear of connecting, you're not only helping yourself to fulfill your potential, you're also healing the world, because the world gets into trouble when we start to feel separate. So connecting is really powerful powerful practice to get out of your comfort zone, or connecting with people that you wouldn't normally connect with. If you don't know what to do when you connect with a person, listen. Use your communication skills. Use active listening, and signpost, repeat. Show that you're interested. Ask interested questions. Be interested in what they're saying, because that'll give you lots of clues and lots of insights, much more than if you were talking. So that's something you can do if you're not sure how to behave with people that you connect with. And then at some point, you do have to present yourself, present your passion that you've uncovered through Ikigai. Present what you're about, present your values, present how you might be able to help them or the organization that they represent. And that's pretty much it. That's the system I used when I was building my coaching practice. Very similar to this. Learned from another coach he's got 4 steps. I've reduced it to 3 for you now. Only 3 steps to transform your career in practice.
Yes.
Connect, listen, and present yourself. Don't be afraid to be visible. You have to be visible and show what you can do. All right, I'm getting excited again. Quick recap. Do you want to recap, Lafina? Because I've been talking a lot.
Woohoo! Yeah. So hopefully we've convinced you now that career change is definitely normal, and it's going to become the norm even more so. Particularly in medical careers, they are definitely going to be changing a lot in the next 5 to 10 years. It's quite an intellectual journey. We know that. We spin these things around in our heads again and again, and we try to intellectualize it and talk ourselves up or talk ourselves down. And it's a very emotional journey full of pains and pitfalls and moments of elation as well.
Yeah.
So going back to the Ikigai diagram, maybe you guys, when we send you all the slides, you can just, use that, put it on your phone as a screensaver, just put it somewhere that it's going to remind you actually on a daily basis of the kind of things that you might want to be looking for or be aware of in yourself, in your careers, and different moments in your relationships. And it will just help you to take a step closer to finding your Ikigai. Remember the 4 R's.
Yes.
And if there's one thing you do after this webinar, I would just set yourself a little challenge, and maybe in the next week, just do one small thing that takes you out of your comfort zone, no matter what it is, whether it's contacting someone new or trying something new, trying a new role, maybe doing some shadowing or getting in touch with an old friend that might be able to give you some insight or some help on how to transform your career. Just do one thing in the next week, and that will set you off on that journey.
Yay. Do it. Do what Lafina says. She's right. You'll feel so great. You'll feel scared, and then once it's done, you'll feel so happy, proud,
definitely
liberated.
Oh, and don't forget to let us know how it goes.
Yeah.
Get in touch. We want to know.
We want to know the results of the experiment.
Definitely.
All right, so next steps. Let go of fear.
Yes, as per the webinar, just
Yeah.
let go of it. We all carry around too much fear, negativity, worry, anxiety. Just let it go. Or write everything down on a piece of paper and throw it away or burn it.
Yeah, write down your worst case scenario and
Yeah.
be a scientist, turn it all around. And you can just make friends with fear. It can be there sitting next to you, but still go and take that step outside your comfort zone. Take the fear with you if you want, but don't let it control you.
Yes, definitely. Then go get started. Make sure that whatever you're doing, if you're ideating and then you're actually testing activities out, as I was saying before, just be self-aware and measure how you're feeling, what your response is in different situations or different activities or different roles, and even write them down if it helps. Because when you come to kind of analyzing, if you're trying out lots of different things, you're trying to decide on what direction to go in, that can really, really help. And don't forget that there is such thing as failure, but if you fail at something, or a certain idea or a certain route was a failure, if you want to call it a failure, well, do it quickly. That's great. That's actually success, because if you're measuring how you're feeling or how a particular career idea or transformation or idea is going, then you can make a decision on whether it's for you or not, and it gets you out of that being on pause and mulling things over phase when we just have ideas in our head. You've got to test them, take action, bring that idea out of your head into reality, and then measure it. Give yourself feedback on it, because that will help you to direct your career path.
Yeah. The parallels between being an entrepreneur and being a scientist are really striking. It's all about being in the real world, not in our heads.
Definitely.
Unless you're a theoretical scientist, which is something different. Are you done with the slide, Lafina?
So next is keep learning. So you've been on this webinar. Amina's got loads of other resources as well, being a careers coach. So make sure you head over to her website and look at some of her resources. She'll tell you a bit more about that in a moment. But keep learning, keep developing this space, and giving yourself the space and time to reflect and accept yourself, accept how you're feeling. If you don't enjoy your career, that's fine. Don't feel guilty about it. That's feedback. It's all feedback, right? It's just information that we use to help us to make other decisions. And get support. So be part of a community. Get in touch with me and Amina if you're feeling a bit like worried and
join Eurekadoc.
And stressed or unhappy. Eurekadoc. There are loads of careers groups as well for doctors that you can join, alternative careers and things like that. You're not the only one. There are thousands of doctors that feel exactly the same. Yeah,
you can go much further with others than on your own.
Yeah, definitely. Or you could join a mastermind.
You join a mastermind?
Yeah.
Which, the Eurekadoc mastermind?
I don't you have a mastermind? We don't have a mastermind, but maybe you do.
It's a special announcement. This is a special announcement time. So as Lafina mentioned, I have lots of things on my website, www.drramina.com. One of the things I did to connect based on what I was hearing people saying and present sort of insights, strategies, tips is all in my Wise Wednesdays, which is a weekly email, and I've written it pretty much weekly since 2016. So there's tons of stuff on imposter syndrome, on career confusion, what to do when you don't know what to do, how to think more entrepreneurially, how to say no, how to find your passion, and so on and so forth. So if you're interested in those themes, there's tons of stuff on there. Have a look. You can sign up, or you'll be receiving updates from us anyway if you sign up for the webinar. And I'm hoping to announce very soon an opportunity to work with me, not necessarily one-to-one because I'm pretty full right now, but in a group. So with other people on that same journey to create that sense of community and belonging and feel that you're not alone and learn from others. So I'm calling it tentatively Achieve the Impossible Program. It's going to be lots of strategy and lots of breathing as well, just to keep cool and calm as you go for your dreams. And there's lots of interesting other updates included in that as well. So with that, Lafina, Where are we up to?
Sounds awesome. So I think we're at 8:10, and we have covered all the content we're going to share with you guys for this webinar. So I hope you've really enjoyed it. I guess it's time for some questions. If anyone has any, feel free to type some questions into the Q&A box. So we have one question actually from Anonymous. One of the things stopping us is finances, I think. If you quit your job, you reduce your income. What would your advice be with regards to how you plan for the time when income is reduced? We've made some jumps before and it was really a struggle for several months and all our savings were gone. And the fear of going back there is my biggest hurdle. Gosh, that's absolutely 100% a very common and legitimate concern, isn't it? Amina, do you want to share what your attitude is towards that, or how you would deal with that?
Could you repeat the question? I'm kind of struggling with the tech.
Yeah, so it's basically the worry about finances when you're quitting your job or leaving your job. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah. So first of all, create some safety for yourself, because your mammalian reptilian brain is going to go crazy if you've got too much uncertainty in your environment. Like if your housing is threatened, you're going to really struggle to get into those inspired flow states. So I did some numbers, do some calculations. How much do I need to live on? What can I cut back on? What's really essential? What can I invest in that's going to keep fueling me forward and giving me what I need to move forward on my dreams whilst minimizing the expense? So do some numbers, very simple, very practical numbers. How much do you need to live on and how long will that last for? If you need a part-time job or something on the side, that's fine. That's your career development loan. So very practical, very simple when it comes to finances. How much do you need to live on and how long will it last you? And then from there, you can work out a plan.
Nice one. I guess to add to that, I don't know if you are a doctor or not, an anonymous attendee, but if you are, then fortunately we do have the opportunity to do freelance and locum, which is still pretty well paid despite different tax changes and things. So I would say, from the property point of view, I always tell people, if you want to replace your medical income with property, don't just leave your job. That's for various reasons, but do it more gradually. So try and build up some income on the side as you're going into a transition. I realize with property that may not be a realistic example if you're transitioning careers, but there's still quite a bit you can do which frees up your time. It doesn't mean you can just drop medical work immediately, but maybe you could go down to part-time or even 4 days a week. Just buying yourself that one extra day is often just so useful. Or if you can negotiate part-time with your current work, or just slightly less than full-time.
Right, and this is where you can do the hybrid model or the dovetail model and have a side hustle, right? So start to build your spend an hour a week, an hour a day, or 2 hours. I don't know, but Lafina, you probably know best on the side hustle. But do it. Do your side.
Yeah. And again, you kind of think, oh, well, what side hustle? I mean, it can be so many things. There's obviously within property, I'm bound to talk about property. There are so many things you can do without having to invest huge lump sums. And you can start to earn 800 to 1,000 a month very, very quickly, using strategies that require very little. Other things you can do is, as a doctor, you're multi-talented, multi-skilled. You could turn your hand to, like medical writing or which is quite well paid actually, and there are different platforms which you can work as a freelancer on, creating content for courses or creating content for medical companies, websites, publications, and you can do all that from home. So there's a million ways that you can make a side income or create a little side hustle just to help build up your income stream whilst you're in a transition phase.
Yeah. And online is a huge opportunity. I know there are coaches who business coaches in particular, who are like, you've got to make use of online internet. If you don't, you're going to be left behind. If you don't understand the power of the internet and how it can help you create a market or be in the market and do something you love, sell something you love through the internet, then you're missing out on a huge opportunity.
Denise is just adding into the comment box that she's finding the difficult thing about locum work is there's still a huge amount to do in terms of appraisals and revalidation, which I'd be interested to know exactly what did these, because I remember when I was out of full-time work for 3 years, I was locuming, and I had to go through revalidation. I also had to do annual appraisals, but I didn't find it that challenging. So I wonder if it's different for you. If I remember rightly at the time, I'm not sure whether what your job situation is, or whether you're what specialty you're working in. But I was doing pediatric locums, so I don't know if that made a big difference or not, but I found it quite straightforward and quite easy. It wasn't too cumbersome. But let us know what exactly it is that's tricky about that. It would be good to know.
Yeah, and again, if there are some boxes you need to tick, then you need to tick them. That's just part of your maintaining your options open, maintaining some safety around you while you take big risks in other areas. So
true.
You know, how much.
And it's a short period of time, right? You could say, okay, right, 6 months, I'm going to do this. I'm going to work as a locum 3 or 4 days a week. I'm going to do all the bloody paperwork. But by 6 months, I am going to have made, you know, a significant move, or have a few answers as to my next step. It may not be like your final career or your perfect career, or your, you know, but at least you're moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And okay, another question. Oh yeah, you've got it.
Yeah, I've got it too. Do you need to have a coaching qualification if you're a GP? If so, any particular you recommend? Appraisal is a big issue too, if not working that much. Fine for locums as long as you do enough work. So for the coaching qualification, coaching's not a qualification regulated for qualifications, so anybody can call themselves a coach. It's a low barrier to entry, but it's a high barrier to success because there are so many coaches. So I would say definitely get a qualification of some kind, but don't make it the thing that's going to make you successful. It's not about the qualification. Being a successful coach is about being a good coach, and that's kind of a multidisciplinary kind of thing. And as a medic, you're in a great position because, one, you're used to dealing with people's personal problems and having difficult conversations and talking about sensitive things. If you can do that as a coach, you've got a huge advantage on most people who don't know how to do that. You've got great communication skills. You know how to open a conversation that's sensitive, and you know how to close it. You know how to connect with, you know, like with your patients to try and reassure them and get information from them. And then spot patterns, diagnose, and propose a management plan. I mean, you've got so many skills for coaching. What you might need is an understanding of psychology and an understanding of other things like emotional transformation and how to handle emotions and help people do that. Things around goal setting and how those work, accountability, these sorts of things. But again, as medics, we've been through so many hurdles and jumped through so many hoops. We know that intuitively anyway. So I'd say get a coaching qualification, but don't make it the condition of your success.
Awesome. That's great advice. Are there any other questions?
I think as GP, yeah,
just some feedback from Joe. I think as GPs, so Joe's just saying, I think as GPs, we do so much coaching day to day, but I agree psychology background is lacking. Thank you for that advice. Oh.
Yeah, don't let any of these things hold you back. Definitely. With qualification or appraisal or revalidation. I think I did revalidation for my first year, and then the appraiser said, you know, you don't really need it, so maybe you don't need to do it. And I was like, fine.
Brilliant. Cool. Yeah. Okay, I'm just checking the Q&A box to see if there's any more questions. It doesn't look like there are, so comments box is empty too. So I hope you've all enjoyed this webinar this evening, and we've certainly enjoyed being with you and spending an hour this evening. And thank you so much to everyone for your time and for joining in and for keeping it interactive. It's good to know that we haven't sent you to sleep at any point this evening. And if you'd like to get in touch with myself or with Amina, please do reach out. We are very friendly and very accessible, and we'd be delighted.
And we love what we do.
We love what we do. Definitely.
Lafina set up a whole community to help the medical community. Eurekadoc. Thanks, Fiona. Thanks, Naveed. Yeah, we really care about what we do, and we're doing it not for money. We're doing it because we care. So do feel free to get in touch. Thank you, Lafina,
Thank you, Amina. As always, it's been a pleasure, and
absolute pleasure.
Best of luck to all of you in your careers and in your personal growth.
Yay. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everyone. Hope to see you soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
Don't be afraid.